The silent strike. Commander Ilara Knox stood frozen at the command console, the message on the screen blurring before her eyes. The words refused to make sense, as if rejecting their own terrible meaning. Nova Terra, complete destruction. No survivors detected. Nova Terra had been humanity's crowning achievement, a thriving colony of 3 million souls on the edge of explored space. Scientists, engineers, families seeking a fresh start among the stars. Now, in the span of a single day, they were gone. Not a distress call, not a warning, just silence, then dust. Confirmed source, Ilara Manage, her voice hollow in the suddenly quiet command center of Earth's Orbital Defense Station Alpha. Lieutenant Commander Reyes looked up from his station, face ashen. Multiple confirmations, Commander. The Argus Deep Space Array detected the energy signature. It matches nothing in our database, but the destructive yield. He swallowed hard. It's beyond anything we've ever encountered. The command center erupted in controlled chaos as officers rushed to stations, data streams flooding every display. But Ilara remained still, her mind racing through implications that chilled her to the core. Nova Terra wasn't just any colony. It had been positioned in neutral space, a gesture of peaceful expansion. Its destruction wasn't just an attack. It was a message. "Get me Fleet Admiral Chen," she ordered, straightening her shoulders against the weight that had suddenly settled there. The main view screen flickered, revealing the stern face of Admiral Lian Chen, Earth Defense Force's highest-ranking officer. Deep lines etched her face, evidence of decades protecting humanity's fragile expansion into the stars. "I've seen the reports," Chen said before Ilara could speak. "The Security Council is convening now. Identification of the attackers. Working on it, Admiral. The energy signature is unlike anything in our database, but we're narrowing down the point of origin." Ilara pulled up the data on her screen. "Based on trajectory and dispersion patterns, we believe the attack came from the Syraxis cluster." Chen's expression darkened. "The Vraxians. We've had minimal contact with them. Just enough to establish recognition protocols and territorial boundaries, which they've now violated," Ilara added grimly. 3 million civilians. Admiral. No military target. No warning." "I understand the implications, Commander," Chen said, her voice steady, but with an underlying edge of steel. "Continue analysis. I need confirmation before I address the Council." The connection cut. 12 hours later, as sleep-deprived analysts finished collating the evidence, there was no longer any doubt. The Vraxian Empire, a reclusive species known for their technological advancement, but minimal interaction with other races, had orchestrated the attack. Their motivation remained a mystery, but their methods spoke volumes, swift, ruthless, and without warning. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the United Earth Government, Admiral Chen stood before the Security Council, her voice echoing in the cavernous chamber. 3 million civilians gone in an instant, she said, her words hanging in the air. "The evidence is conclusive. The Vraxian Empire has committed an act of unprovoked genocide against humanity." The chamber remained silent as images projected around them. The empty space where Nova Terra once orbited, debris fields spreading across thousands of kilometers, and finally, the reconstructed energy signature that had wiped it from existence. "What are our options?" asked Councillor Mbeki, his normally composed voice tight with emotion. "Diplomatic channels have been attempted," Chen replied. No response. "We believe this was not an accident or misunderstanding, but a deliberate first strike." High Chancellor Rivera rose from her seat, the ceremonial chain of office gleaming against her dark uniform. "Then we must respond with equal clarity of purpose. Admiral Chen, you have my authorization to deploy the full might of Earth's defense forces. This will not stand." What followed was unprecedented in human history. Every shipyard across the Sol system and human colonies accelerated production. Reserve forces were activated. Retired veterans returned to service. Commercial vessels were retrofitted for military support. Within 30 days, the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled began taking shape in the shadow of Mars. 700,000 vessels ranging from massive dreadnoughts to nimble corvettes, all united under a single banner: vengeance. Commander Ilara Knox, now promoted to Rear Admiral, stood on the bridge of the EDF Nemesis, the fleet's flagship. The vessel represented humanity's ultimate military achievement: 2 kilometers of advanced weaponry, shielding, and propulsion systems. "Final fleet assembly complete, Admiral," reported Commander Rice, now her XO. "All battle groups report ready status." Ilara nodded, surveying the tactical display showing the vast armada spread across the Martian orbit. 700,000 ships. It seemed almost unreal. A number born of humanity's fear, rage, and determination. The Vraxians struck without warning, she said, her voice carrying to every officer on the bridge. They believed we would cower, hide in our remaining colonies, and accept their demonstration of power. She turned, meeting the eyes of each person present. They have gravely miscalculated. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen, her expression solemn but resolute. "All fleet commanders, this is Fleet Admiral Chen. You carry with you the full authority of Earth and all her colonies. Our mission is clear. The Vraxian Empire must answer for Novaterra. We will strike with overwhelming force at their military installations, command structures, and defensive outposts. We will not target civilian populations, but we will not stop until the Vraxian leadership surrenders unconditionally or is removed from power." She paused, the weight of history settling on her next words. "Humanity has always sought peaceful coexistence with other species. Today, we demonstrate that peace cannot be built on the ashes of our people. Launch protocols initiated. May fortune favor us all." The massive fleet began to move, engines igniting across the void like a new constellation taking form. Earth's response to the silent strike against Novaterra was neither silent nor measured. It was a thunderous declaration that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. As the Nemesis accelerated toward the jump point, Ilara Knox stood at the viewport, watching the endless stream of ships falling into formation. She thought of the families on Novaterra, of the scientists and children and dreamers who had ventured into the stars with hope in their hearts. "We're coming," she whispered to the void, "and heaven help those who thought they could extinguish us. Vengeance incarnate." Admiral Soren Ravenna watched the holographic display with cold calculation as the human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Vraxian outer defense perimeter. At 45, with salt and pepper hair and eyes that had seen more battles than most military historians had studied, Ravenna commanded Battle Group Thanatos, the spearhead of humanity's vengeance. "Enemy response?" he asked, voice level despite the tension crackling through the bridge. "Confused, Admiral," replied his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Quan. "Their automated defenses are activating, but their fleet movements suggest they weren't expecting us. Not in these numbers." Ravenna allowed himself the ghost of a smile. The element of surprise had been critical to their strategy. Intelligence suggested the Vraxians were a hierarchical species, their military doctrine built on calculated responses to known threats. They had struck Novaterra to demonstrate their power, expecting humanity to retreat and reassess. Instead, they were facing 700,000 warships. "Deploy screen forces," Ravenna ordered. "Initiate Tactic Hydra." Across the vast formation, smaller vessels peeled away in coordinated patterns, creating a complex web of movement designed to confuse Vraxian targeting systems. The main battle groups held position, their massive weapons arrays powering up with ominous precision. "First strike packages away," reported Commander Ellis from Weapons Control. The void between the fleets lit up as thousands of kinetic penetrators and guided munitions streaked toward the Vraxian defense stations. The Vraxians, finally grasping the magnitude of the human response, scrambled to coordinate their defenses. Their outer installations, impressive technological marvels built over centuries, had never faced such overwhelming force. The first station fell in minutes, its defensive shields collapsing under concentrated fire from 30 battlecruisers. The second and third followed shortly after, their destruction lighting up space with brief, brilliant flares. By the time the Vraxian home fleet began to organize a counterattack, humanity's forces had already breached their first line of defense. Aboard the Vraxian command vessel Unyielding Dominion, High Commander Zrelvax watched in disbelief as the human fleet tore through his outer defenses. "Impossible," he hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Their technology is inferior. Their numbers should be inconsequential. The humans have deployed new weapon systems," High Commander reported, his second, voice vibrating with tension. "Their targeting algorithms are adapting to our countermeasures faster than we can implement them." Zrelvax's compound eyes narrowed. "They are animals, primitive, emotional creatures. This is unexpected. They are fighting with coordinated fury, High Commander. Our psychological profiles indicated they would retreat after our demonstration at their colony." The High Commander turned away from the tactical display, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming in the command center's dim light. "Engage all reserve fleets. Signal the homeworld. We require reinforcements." Back aboard the human flagship Nemesis, Admiral Ilara Nox received Ravenna's battle reports with grim satisfaction. The Vraxians had underestimated humanity in every possible way. Their resolve, their tactical flexibility, and most critically, their capacity for rapid technological adaptation. "Admiral," called Commander Reyes, "we're detecting large energy signatures from deeper in the system. Vraxian reinforcements incoming." Nox nodded. "As expected. Admiral Ravenna's forces have their attention. Signal Admiral Chen. It's time for Phase 2. Across the battle space, 300,000 human vessels that had held in reserve now surged forward, executing a perfect flanking maneuver that caught the incoming Vraxian reinforcements in a devastating crossfire. The Vraxian command structure, accustomed to predictable, hierarchical warfare, struggled to adapt to humanity's distributed command approach. For 6 hours, the battle raged across the Vraxian border system. Space itself seemed to burn as advanced weaponry tore through shields and hulls. The Vraxians fought with increasing desperation, their technological edge dulled by humanity's numbers and ferocity. In the command center of the Nemesis, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. Officers moved with precision, relaying orders, analyzing tactical data, coordinating the movements of the vast fleet. Yet beneath the professional veneer, Ilara could sense something shifting. The initial righteous fury that had fueled their mission was evolving into something colder, more mechanical. "Vraxian command vessel disabled," Admiral reported Commander Reyes. "Their primary defensive fleet is in full retreat." "Casualties?" Ilara asked. 11,000 vessels lost or severely damaged on our side. Vraxian losses estimated at 80% of engaged forces. The numbers should have felt like victory. Instead, they settled like ash in Ilara's mouth. 11,000 ships, each with crews, each representing lives cut short. The Vraxians had committed an atrocity, yes, but the scale of humanity's response was beginning to weigh on her. "Orders, Admiral," Reyes prompted when she remained silent. Ilara straightened, pushing aside her doubts. "Proceed as planned. Secure the system, establish forward bases, and prepare for the push toward their homeworld." As the human fleet consolidated its position, aboard the EDF Valkyrie, Admiral Soren Ravenna faced his own moment of reckoning. The ship's medical bay was filled with wounded, burns, explosive decompression injuries, trauma from systems overloads. The price of victory written in blood and pain. "You should rest, Admiral," said Dr. Mercer, the chief medical officer, as Ravenna moved among the injured, speaking quietly with each soldier. "When they can rest, so will I," he replied simply. Later, alone in his quarters, Ravenna reviewed the battle footage, studying the Vraxian tactics, looking for patterns, weaknesses, but his mind kept returning to a single question. What happens when vengeance is sated? What remains of us then? The next phase of the offensive began 3 days later. The human fleet, reorganized and repaired, pushed deeper into Vraxian territory. System after system fell before their relentless advance. The Vraxians, their initial confidence shattered, fought with increasing desperation, employing suicide tactics and scorched earth policies that only hardened human resolve. On the 15th day of the campaign, as the fleet approached the Vraxian secondary homeworld of Zelkareth, something unexpected happened. A transmission, encoded on human frequencies, reached the Nemesis. Admiral, called the communications officer, we're receiving a signal from the surface. It appears to be in English. Ilara frowned. Source: unknown, but it's definitely originating from a Vraxian facility. Put it through, but maintain all security protocols. The main view screen flickered, and a human face appeared, gaunt, with hollow eyes and pale skin suggesting long exposure to artificial light. This is Dr. Marcus Chen, xenobiologist, formerly of Novaterra Research Division. To any human forces receiving this transmission, what you believe about the Novaterra incident is not accurate. I have evidence that. The transmission cut abruptly, replaced by static. Silence fell across the bridge, heavy with implication. Survivors, whispered Commander Reyes. How is that possible? Our scans showed complete destruction. Ilara's mind raced through possibilities, each more disturbing than the last. Capture prior to the attack. A fabricated message. Or, she didn't complete the thought, but it hung in the air nonetheless. What if they had been wrong? Trace that transmission, she ordered, and get me a secure channel to Fleet Admiral Chen. We need to reconsider our approach until we understand what we're dealing with. The human fleet, poised to strike at the heart of another Vraxian world, paused in its relentless advance. 700,000 warships hung in the void, engines idle, weapons powered but unfired. In her quarters, Ilara reviewed the transmission for the 20th time, searching for clues, for certainty where none existed. Novaterra's destruction had been confirmed by multiple sensor arrays. The energy signature had been traced to Vraxian technology. The evidence had been conclusive. And yet, a human survivor, speaking from within Vraxian territory, suggesting they had misunderstood something fundamental about the conflict. A soft chime announced Admiral Chen's incoming transmission. The older woman's face appeared on Ilara's private screen, lines of exhaustion etched deeply around her eyes. You've verified the transmission's authenticity, Chen asked without preamble. As much as possible without more data. Voice pattern analysis matches Dr. Chen's records. He was indeed stationed on Novaterra. Admiral Chen sighed, suddenly looking every day of her 62 years. We've committed the largest military force in human history based on our understanding of what happened at Novaterra. If that understanding is flawed, we need to know the truth, Ilara said firmly, before more lives are lost, on either side. Chen nodded slowly. Agreed. I'm authorizing a special operations insertion. Your team will locate this Dr. Chen and extract him, along with whatever evidence he claims to have. And the fleet. Maintain position. No further offensive actions until we clarify the situation. Chen's expression hardened. But keep your guard up, Admiral Knox. This could be an elaborate trap. As the transmission ended, Ilara moved to the viewport, gazing out at the vast armada spread across the blackness of space. 700,000 ships, millions of lives, all driven by the burning need to answer violence with violence. Justice, they had called it. Vengeance, they had admitted in darker moments. But what if it had all been built on a misunderstanding? The thought was almost too terrible to contemplate. Yet as she watched a squadron of destroyers patrolling the fleet's perimeter, their running lights tracing paths against the void, Ilara Knox felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. Hope that perhaps this cycle of destruction could end before it consumed them all. Hope that the truth, whatever it might be, could light a path forward that didn't lead only to more graves among the stars. Behind her, the tactical display continued its silent count. 700,000 warships, waiting for word that would either unleash them in renewed fury or begin the long, difficult process of finding another way. The fate of two species hung in the balance.